This news and views about your Las Vegas Raiders.
Touchdown, Las Vegas!
With insight, opinions, and interviews. We're on the cutting edge of what's happening now. With the latest on your Raiders and the NFL. Your host, Scott Gulbransen and Moton.
All right, we are live here on Silver and Black today, an Audacy Sports original podcast covering your Las Vegas Raiders. Yes, the last show, as you know, I go in the comments when we premiere our shows, usually recorded the same day or the day before, and I was given unrelentless crap. Well, you're not live. Okay, now we're live. So hello, we're glad to see you. Absolutely. And by the way, if you don't already subscribe to the podcast, we will find you and we will hunt you down. No, please do so wherever you get your audio. Just look for Silver and Black today and subscribe to the show there. Put on the auto download. That helps us very much. So we appreciate that. Also, if you're watching us on YouTube or you're watching us on X or Facebook, wherever you're watching us, subscribe on YouTube, particularly where you get the best experience and the best chat. I may add, please hit the subscription button, notifications bell, ding, ding, and give us that thumbs up, right? Now, we are a team here. That's right. I am Scott Gulbransen, your host, along with my co-host, Mr. Moton. He is the senior NFL writer over at Bleach Report. He also covers the Raiders specifically for sportsnot.com, where I am also a writer, editor, and host. So check out his work up on sportsnot.com as well as mine. And also, we're going to start with this because it was big news last week. We're getting, Midtown Mo is in full bloom. He is now officially a TBS contributor on the TV set there, thingamajig. Mo, tell us about your stuff with TBS in case anybody missed it. I know you got a lot of congratulations on X.com, people who interact with you, but tell everybody what you're doing there so they can watch for you. And I know you'll tweet it out when you go on. So if people see it, if you just follow Mo at Mo Moton, Moemoton, you'll know when he's going on TBS. But tell everybody a little bit about it.
So if you notice, I've been quiet on the airwaves a bit. I was absent last week on this show because I had a lot going on. Other than my writing duties, I'm now contributing to TNT Sports over on True TV. So basically, I'm covering the entire league for Bleach Report in writing, in print. And now they want me to do it on TV, on video, not on the set, but with an anchor. It's been a lot of fun working with producers and people behind the scenes who make it happen for me, make me look as good as they can on the screen. So you check me out, TNT Sports. It usually starts 6 p.m. Eastern time, 3 p.m. Pacific. And I'm usually on the back end of that half hour because the NBA takes precedent, being that the playoffs are coming up and the NFL's in the off season, but they still need some NFL news. And I'm now their NFL analyst.
What's this NBA you speak of? But no, seriously, congratulations. And Mo had told me about it a little while ago. Of course, I had to stay quiet, but we're proud of you, man. And I give you crap about being a big TV star and all that stuff, but nobody is more humble than Mo Moton. He appreciates where he is. He's worked his tail off to get where he is. So congratulations on that. And now I get to see him on a 75-inch screen. It's cool. My dog started barking, but other than that, it was good. No, I kid not. But yes, it is TNT and True TV. Sorry, I said TBS. I think it's part of your family there at Bleach Report, right? You're all under the same umbrella?
Yeah, it's under the same web. But Bleach Report's connected to TNT, and as for people who watch the NBA, you've watched TNT with Barkley and Draymond Green and those guys. Mm-hmm. They're technically part of the family, not part of Bleach Report, but part of the bigger family.
The bigger family, yes, under the big corporate umbrella. Absolutely. By the way, we have the chat rolling. Since we're live, we can read stuff online and get back to you guys. Got a lot of question. Nazario, cool name, man. When are you guys going to do a worst, best case scenario for the draft possibilities? Interested in both of your guys' takes on that. We will get to that. We got a little bit.
Zario's he's in my Bleach Report lives. By the way, Bleach Report live tomorrow, 12 noon Eastern time, 9 a.m. Pacific. Get up early, catch that. I'll talk Raiders draft needs. I see True Raider also in the chat. What's going on, True Raider? He's also part of my Bleach Report lives. Very active, very funny guy.
Yes.
Can't wait to get Stoic in here. If we can get Stoic Raider in here and talk Oregon players drafted by the Raiders, that would be great.
He will. And then I want to show you this one too, because Last show, I had a lot of this too from Shield 60. Scott Midtime Mouse. Scott, are you going through something? New look. So my hair there's been a lot of comments about my hair. First of all, there's some people who didn't know I had any hair because they said I always wear a hat. Now, I do wear a hat a lot, as do you, but I would say out of 5 shows, I don't wear a hat at least once. So I was like, what, did you think I was bald? I mean, what was the deal? So yeah, so my hair, I'm growing, and my hair is longer than it's been since I've been about 18 years old. And at my age, Shield, maybe it's a midlife crisis. Maybe it's because I got out of the corporate world and now I'm back in journalism and I can kind of do that, like there's some days I don't get out of my pajama pants. I can shoot
I've been
video.
trying to get Scott to do the whole cornrows thing, but he's pushing back on that.
No, I will. When it gets long enough, I will. As long as I'm not like, I don't get in trouble for
salt and pepper cornrows.
Oh, that would be nice. That would be nice. Yes, it would be. Anyway, so True Raiders in there. Raider Ryan. What's up, my man? 805 Raider, of course. The 805
Appreciate
Raider.
all the congratulations I see in the chat too.
Yes, it's
Raider
really
Ryan,
cool.
SD to Las Vegas. All the people in the chat. Appreciate you all.
Oakland fan is talking about my my Van Halen beanie that I wore. It's starting to get warm. It's spring now. I'm not sure how long I can wear beanies. Although I guess I could wear. I'm inside. It doesn't really matter. But anyway, so thank you guys in the chat. We will get to that stuff as it pops up. But there's a couple things we want to get to tonight. First segment, we're going to talk about cornerbacks. Mo was tweeting out, and I was like, yeah, because we've been talking about needs in the Raiders. We spent a lot of time, and I know we will spend more time on the quarterback situation, if there's another quarterback involved, if they draft a quarterback, whatever. We'll get to that too. But at the same time, cornerback. Mo and I on this show, we've talked a lot about it. We just haven't focused on it in a little bit. But you had posted a couple things about the market being kind of soft for the veteran, the free agent cornerbacks out there, the fact that the Raiders need it. Then I'm going to show also this because I am Mo's PR guy. Of course, you guys know this. Mo had a piece run on SportsNot today about assessing urgency to fill top roster needs before the 24 NFL draft. By the way, if you haven't gone to SportsNot, N-A-U-T, SportsNot, like astronaut.com, do so. You can read Mo up there, all his Raiders work, but you can also read my stuff up there too when I write about it. But anyway, I'm going to skip through some of these positions, Mo, because you have quarterback on there, offensive tackle. We know the needs, offensive guard. And then you rank them by like numbers, like needs, right? So like, okay, offensive guard you have as a 10, right? 10 is a big need, right? 1 is like low need or lower need. 10 is the biggest need, correct? Is that how I have your ranking correct?
That's correct. So if it's a 10, when you'll see a 10 on there, that means I think the Raiders should address that need before the draft. If you see a 1 on there, and if you see a 1 on there or a number on the lower side of the scale, it means I don't think the Raiders really need to address that need before the draft because they have guys in place who could possibly start. May not be surefire starters, but they have some options at that position.
Yeah, absolutely. So you look at that, and we're here on the story, and I'm showing it on the screen for those of you watching. If you're listening to us on Thursday, sorry, you're not going to get the visual, but you get to cornerback here, and you had it as an 8, right? And I agree with that 100%. And so make sure you go up and read Mo's story from today. And you can read all the details there. But Mo, when we look at, let me get to the right screen here so you're on screen with me. There we go. Okay, cool. So when you look at the situation with cornerbacks, the need for the cornerback, you look with Nate Hobbs, you look with Jack Jones on the other side, okay? You have sort of 2 of the 3 starters, in my view. You need another outside corner, right? So you look at that and you say, okay, out on the open market, when you look at free agents that are out there, again, the market, people haven't been rushing to sign these guys, but there are some good ones out there. You talked about Ladarius Sneed, or not Sneed, Travarius. I can't get the names right, man.
Tre'Davious White.
Thank you. See, you
had me, Nick. You had me.
Tre'Davious.
Sneed, by the way, L'Jarius Sneed, who's franchise tagged by the Chiefs, if he's going anywhere, he's not going to race because the Chiefs are not going to trade him within the division. That's probably the person you were thinking about. But the names I mentioned in the article, Tre'Davious White visited with the Raiders on Monday. That's what Tashawn Reed of The Athletic said. Mm-hmm. But I threw out some other potential options if Tre'Davious White goes somewhere else. And I mentioned Christian Fulton, who I was posting about at 3:27 a.m. in the morning today. I also mentioned Xavier Howard, who was let go by the Dolphins. And there are Stephon Gilmore is out there still. I think he might go to Washington and follow his former defensive coordinator, just my opinion. But the quarterback market has been very quiet. Not a lot of movement there. So there are a lot of guys who could step in and be a starting cornerback opposite of Jack Jones right away. The Raiders can get their CB2 if they want it. They have over $28 million in cap space. So if they make a move, I could see them doing it before the draft simply because there are good options out there left.
Yeah. So of those veterans out there, and we'll see if they kick the tire of it. Like you said, they already kicked tires on one. We'll see if they get kicked tires on two. A lot of people were poo-pooing me when I talked about Gilmore, even though the chances of him going to the Raiders are very thin. He had a comeback year last year with the Cowboys, did pretty well. We have Edgar on here saying Terrion Arnold for pick 13. And it's funny because you and I talked about it. Now that they address the quarterback position, they address the defensive tackle position. The two greatest needs are on the offensive line and defensive backs. I still think quarterback too, but let's say you can't do that. Edgar here says Terrion Arnold for 13, Penix in the second. I don't know. Terrion Arnold could be there at 13, maybe. But I don't know. Like I like the kid. I saw him at the combine, was around him. Fantastic. There's a bunch of good cornerbacks in this draft. I know I saw somebody in here talking about Cooper DeJean, all this kind of stuff going on there. But Mo, when you look at that, I think they need both. They need a young guy and they need an experienced guy because there is a little bit of a learning curve in the NFL, especially for defensive backs. And so I don't think it's one or the other. I think it's got to be both.
You're right, but you only have, if you're going to stick at 13, you only have one pick, right? So where are you going? And to me, I still have the idea that the Raiders go offensive line with their first pick, if it's not a quarterback. Yeah. Because to me, and I made this point in the show that you build a strong defense inside out. And the Raiders have kind of proved my point on that one. The position group that they've addressed the most in free agency, the defensive line, signing Christian Wilkins, then re-signing John Jenkins and re-signing Adam Butler tells you the Raiders are trying to build that defense, at least strengthen it inside out. Now, they leave a weakness at cornerback. We'll see what they do before the draft. But if you're picking at 13, let's say you don't sign a cornerback, a veteran cornerback before late April, then I could see them going corner and you say, okay, a lot of people in the chat are going to say best player available, BPA. But if you have a top offensive lineman and a top cornerback, what are you choosing if you're the Raiders? And I still say you go to offensive line because they have two questionable positions on the offensive line, right guard and right tackle. I know there's some Thayer Munford fans in here. I get it. But you're not just going to hand him the starting job. He's going to have some competition.
Right. But then you get back to the conversation, and we're not going to rehash it right now because we've been talking about it for a couple weeks. But if you stay at 13 and one of those quarterbacks, whether it's Michael Penix Jr., whether it's Bo, whoever they like, because I think the rest of the guys will be gone. Do you still go there? Now, I think some depends on that because to your point, I would go offensive lineman unless the guys that they really believe that they have to get in the top of the first round, if those guys are gone for some reason, all of them, which would be maybe tough to difficult to believe. I think there might be one or two still there. If that's the case, then do you go cornerback? Okay. Or do you go quarterback? Because the Raiders might be able to do some other finagling and get high in the second round. Like if they can get another second round pick high. But Mo, you said to somebody else today, they're like, oh, we'll trade back and you can get Penix down because no quarterbacks between 32 and 44 are going to need. No, because you just don't know. And by the way, you don't know who's going to trade up. What if Denver then trades up from the third round for future compensation and gets to pick number 34 and takes Penix? Like you don't know what's going to happen. So the Raiders are in this weird position where there's those three big positions of need. Somebody said linebacker in the chat. No, sorry, I disagree. But anyway, if you look at this, go ahead.
Really quick detour in the chat. That dog's bark is making me laugh a lot. He said I look like a scientist from Jurassic Park if I had white hair. He has a bunch of what I look like on this side with my new getup.
Is that you or is that me he's talking about? I can't tell. He said, dude on the left. See, I'm on the left of this screen.
Ah, okay.
You're on your left. I don't know what he's talking about.
Okay, so maybe he's talking about you. But
he might be talking about me. Oh, there's our good friends at Raiders Fan Radio, $20 super chat, which goes right back to the One Nation Foundation supporting Raiders charities. So we got to do that. Awesome. And we got to get, I have to get them their money, by the way, too. Their super chat money. So Murph, you got to send me the Venmo so I can send it to you. All right. It's
some people to crack your kneecaps if you don't see his money.
There was a guy in here for a week that was saying you owed him money. I don't know who he was, but anyway, it says, when are you going to address the functional mobility of one Gardner Flint Minshew II? I did not know his middle name was Flint. So
did he get that from Pro Football Reference? Because they have a bunch of weird nicknames for football players.
He might have. Murph, you got to tell me if that's where you got it. But anyway,
know your sources, Murph.
We'll get to the functional mobility. Thank you for the donation back. I mean, you guys do all that work too, so it's amazing. But anyway, and so you look at that, and so now they're in that position, and that's why I think still, like, we're getting to the second week of free agency, getting towards the end of it here, and a lot of people are checking out. Well, all the big names are gone, but like you said, in certain positions, there's still a lot of good talent out there. If you're going to sign one of these guys, and you mentioned one guy from the Giants because he's got a familiarity with Patrick Graham, who would you bet on if you had to bet today from a veteran perspective that the Raiders go out and get?
It was Michael Davis before he signed elsewhere. But I say Adoree Jackson had a year with Patrick Graham in New York. I know it was just 1 year, but he's a smaller athletic cornerback, which Patrick Graham usually likes in his cornerback. If you notice, not a lot of tall, big physical cornerbacks on Patrick Graham's rosters. I know the Raiders now have Brandon Faison, who's about 6'2", but wasn't a main player in that defense, was hurt most of last year, appeared in maybe 3 games, played about 44 defensive snaps. But I think Adoree Jackson would be someone that would be at the top of the line for Patrick Graham. A lot of people are going to bring up Xavier Howard, who played under Patrick Graham in Miami. Some people said that, Xavier Howard had issues with Patrick Graham. I didn't pick that up. By the way, Xavier Howard was hurt for most of the year that Patrick Graham was there in Miami. He only played 5 games. So I don't see how he could have gotten a doghouse that quickly unless the relationship went sour early. But again, the year that Xavier Howard played under Patrick Graham, he only played 5 games because of injury. Though I would say that if you're looking for a CB2 or a guy opposite Jack Jones, I would consider Xavier Howard.
Yeah, I that's who I was going to go to next after Jamie was making fun of my haircut. But it's one of those situations where I look at him and I think that's a guy to me. You sign him, and then you don't have to have the pressure of getting a cornerback in the first or even the second round. You can get a young guy in the third round or later even. And of course it's not going to be a first round talent, but you can get somebody in there for some depth and to develop. So to me, I really think that that's where they'll go. If I look at the market right now, Mo, and I look at other positions of need that they have, to me, that's where they go. Now, there are some guards out there we talked about, of course, but offensive guards. But to me, this is the position that if I'm the Raiders, I'm working on that right now. And I truly believe, I have no inside information. That's not what I'm saying. But I believe that's what they're doing, is they're looking for that. They obviously brought one in already. And I think we'll start to hear that they bring in a couple more of those guys. We'll just have to see if the cost is right. The price is something that you have to consider as well, and go from there. So we'll see how it all works out. What else on cornerbacks? Anything else? Any other thoughts?
Nazario is bringing up a name that I talked about in my Bleach Report lives. Kyrie Jackson out of Oregon. I know the historic Raider. If he's listening, he's going to cringe a bit. But Kyrie Jackson is a guy I thought was going to run a 4.3. Did not run a 4.3 at the combine, but I still think he's the fit for the Raiders. Over at Bleach Report, we have him as one of the top zone corners coming out in this year's draft. I think he could be a round 3 guy, late day 2 guy coming out. So if you don't choose a cornerback at 13, I think Kyrie Jackson would be a great fit. Athletic, moved around, played JUCO, didn't play at Alabama, went to Oregon, blew up. So I think he could be an option if you're looking at a day 2 corner, because to me, he has the physical characteristics and the upside to be a pretty good starter on the pro level. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. You go out and get a Howard or a Jackson like that, then you suddenly can do that. You can wait till the 3rd round to address the depth needs you have there. And that's a good move for them, in my view. The 805 Raider, by the way, said, should the Raiders move up in the 1st round? We've talked about that, my man. The problem is, can they? I don't know that they can enough to get the quarterback they want after the 13th pick and trade back and get more help on O-line. One comment about that. I'll say, once the Vikings acquire that extra first-round pick from the Houston Texans. I think they're the team to look at to move up. And if they're moving up to get Drake May or J.J. McCarthy, you're looking at 4 quarterbacks possibly going in the top 5. So if you're the Raiders at 13, at that point, the top 4 quarterbacks are off the board. No need to move up. Unless you really, really love Michael Penix or Bo Nix, as a top 10 pick. At that point, the value just isn't there to move up if the top 4 quarterbacks come off the board.
Exactly. Jamie with another comment on my haircut. It's a transitional haircut. Yes, it is. It's in that in-between stage. Exactly, my man. I appreciate you looking at that. And somebody else says I have Rob Lowe hair flow. I don't think I've ever been, nor will I ever be compared to Rob Lowe, but thank you anyway. All right. We're moving on here. Mo, you look at other issues with obviously they signed Madison for running back. You look at his numbers and I think that one of the things people are like, oh, we gave him Josh Jacobs. Actually, his number, now the touchdown thing is a different issue, right? For whatever reason, he has not been able to score touchdowns. Now that could be situational, right? I didn't watch all the Viking games. I watched some of them, but you look at it and you say, okay, why isn't he scoring touchdowns? Does he not have a nose for the end zone, as some people say? I don't think it's that. I think it's situation. But if you look at his numbers from last year, a lot less carries, almost the same yardage as Josh Jacobs. Now, Josh Jacobs missed games. I understand that too. But I think with Madison's situation, I think there's a lot more upside, and I think it was a sneaky good signing.
I would say it was an okay signing. I wasn't jumping up for joy for it because I think he's just he's
another
RB2.
guy.
And watching a little bit of Vikings games, it was a situation where they had Cam Akers before he got hurt, so and they had Ty Chandler also taking carries away, so they had a platoon of guys. Sometimes it just works out that way. I remember one year Miles Sanders didn't have a touchdown, right? So it happens that way sometimes. But I'm not looking at Madison as to say, okay, the Raiders are now set at running back. I still want the Tennessee running back who's going to give the Raiders some electricity in the backfield, some speed. I think they still address that position because someone said, I think it was R. Rich 1990 on the X said this. The Raiders don't have much speed on offense outside of Trey Tucker. Like where are the explosive plays going to come from? And I think they can get some of that out of the backfield, out of an electric back who's a little more explosive than Zamir White and Alexander Madison. So I don't think they're done at the running back position. I think Alexander Madison is just kind of a placeholder, but I think he could be effective with fewer carries because he showed that behind Dalvin Cook, he was actually more efficient than he was when he was the lead running back in Minnesota.
Yeah, and I think that in a perfect world, actually, he'll be RB3, right? If they can go get a guy in the draft, one of these young guys that really you're going to be able to get in the 4th round, because the running back class is not extremely strong, but there are some good ones when we've talked about them here on the show a few times. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. And I think that the Raiders are in a good position to start to make some moves there. Look, everybody wants it to happen fast, but that's not always the best way. You got to make sure it's the right fit. We of course saw Antonio Pierce at the pro day today with the cornerbacks and down at Alabama, and he's been around going to all of these. So it's good. They're looking for people who fit the mold, right? Because that's the point. You guys all got very excited when he talked about the Raider way, and it's romanticized, yes, but it also is what's the mentality with the staff, with the players, with the locker room. And so you have to understand that they're going to look for the guys that fit their mold at this moment. And so some there might be good players, but they might not just fit scheme. They might not fit personality. Could be a lot of different things that has an impact on that, Mo. But I'll give you the last word on this one as far as addressing their needs, positions, and so on.
For me, as I said, it's offensive line, cornerback, quarterback. While quarterback is the most important position, I still think they should look for their long-term franchise guy because Gardner Minshew, let's be honest, is veteran insurance. We don't know what Aiden O'Connell is going to be, learning his second offense in 2 years. And then after that, you can quibble, well, actually offensive tackle if you want to split up offensive line, tackle guard. But after that, you can quibble over where should they add depth, safety, linebacker. I think those positions you address with guys in the 3rd, 4th, 5th rounds and middle rounds because they have clear-cut starters. You just need some depth in those spots.
Yeah, absolutely. Good way to say it. All right, we're going for our audio audience. We're going to take a quick break where you will listen to a quick message or two. We appreciate you sticking through that. On the other side, guess what we're going to do? we're going to do one of our favorite things here, which is the mailbag. We got a bunch of voicemails. I got a text. And then if we have some time after that, we are going to take live calls. So for those of you out there, I'm going to put the live call number, which is the same number you call anytime you want to get online. You do that here. Don't call yet, though. Don't call yet. We're going to get through our voicemails. I want to make sure those are people who called all week long. I want to make sure we did it. But I did live calls the last time I went live. It worked out just fine. So if you want to call in, 702-900-7869, just jot that number down. And when we call for you to call in, you can do that. But we're going to take a quick break here on Silver and Black today, an Audacy Sports original podcast with Mo and Scott. We're coming back right after this. All right, we are back for the Raider Nation Mailbag. Yes, it's that time of the week where we get to turn things over to all of you on the Raider Nation Mailbag. And that includes calls. We want to know what you're thinking. We get all kinds of thoughts. We get all kinds of calls. I can guarantee our calls are not as entertaining usually as our good friend, since Murph is watching. He gets some doozies. They have some artists over there. And that's not to say that you guys don't give us good calls, but we love hearing from you. So we're going to get right to it here and answer your questions. By the way, if you don't already subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your audio, please do so and make sure that you are going to do that. By the way, Murph,